And hello, everyone. Welcome to our Trading Indicators Bootcamp. It is Friday, December 12th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, noon. My name is Daniel, and I will be your moderator throughout this presentation. It is a cold day here in Montreal. I think it's, I would guess maybe minus 10 degrees, minus 8 degrees, windy. It was a tough walk to the office. I went early here at around 7:30 a.m. Very cold, very dark. But it's a nice winter day. I enjoyed the snow. We have snow on the ground, and yeah, what better timing to be comfortably seated inside and talk about trading. All right, so before we get into this, where are you guys calling in from? Who do we have in the room today? Please put your location into the Q&A box. So as I already mentioned, I am calling in from Montreal in Canada, our headquarters here at Trading Indicators. Who else do we have? We have Masa from New York City. Hey, Masa, how's it going? Andrea from Hamburg. Hi, Andrea. I'll be going to Hamburg soon for Christmas. Greg from Colorado. Hey, Greg, how's it going? David from Frankfurt. Hey, David, how's it going? Good to see you. Jay from York. I guess that's I guess Pennsylvania, not York, UK. John from Fort Collins, Colorado. Hey, John, how's it going? Ulla from Leipzig. That's a nice place down there. I've actually have to go again to Leipzig. It's been quite some time. I have some family down there. Bob from Alexandria, Virginia. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Wayne from Boston. Hey, Wayne, how's it going? Barbara from Austria. Hi, Barbara. Wie geht's? Gabriel from Virginia. Gerd from Coesfield, Münsterland, Germany. Hey, Gerd. Arthur from Hamburg. Yes, Hamburg once again, a very strong presence here in our chat room. Mark from Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, Mark, how's it going? And we have Marco from Hof. That's, I know what this is. It's near the border to Bavaria, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. All right, guys, with this, let's get into it. And we have two more guests. We have Jose from Monterrey, Mexico. Jose, I have been to Monterrey in Mexico for a wedding. It was fantastic. It's a great place down there. Very hot, though. And we have Linda from Orangeville, Ontario. All right, perfect. And I know, Linda, this is near Toronto, as you told me last time. Perfect. Let's get into it. So, first off, thank you guys for joining us. This really means the world to us. We have a full room today, which shows us that you are interested in what we have to offer and you like to be part of our trading journey. So we're super excited for this. This gives us all the validation that we need, and which drives us to continue what we're doing, to continue innovate when it comes to trading, to develop trading tools, indicators, and so forth. Real quick, for those of you who are perhaps joining us for the very first time, we are tradingindicators.com. My name is Daniel, as mentioned before. I'm the guy here on the left-hand side. And about 10 years ago, our trading journey has started. And wow, what a journey it has been. I have some words to say about this in just a bit. So I've created Trading Indicators together with Homa here in the center. And about 5 years into our mission, Nicholas has joined us. He's in the chat room also today, and he'll be looking out for your questions. And it has always been our mission to develop innovative trading products, mostly trading indicators. But as you will see today, we've also developed trading dashboard and scanners and trading tools. And most of what we do is based on a concept called technical analysis, which is basically a mathematical pattern analysis of your price chart. We believe that fundamentals are almost immediately priced in. And by analyzing a price chart from a technical point of view, you will indirectly also take into account these fundamentals. We also believe that trading should be simple, and indeed trading is simple, but you need to use the right tools and you need to know what to look for and which tools we are using almost every day in our trading. We're going to share with you today. And last but not least, guys, if you have any questions, please don't be shy. Put your questions into the Q&A box, and Niklas will be happy to bring those to my attention as we proceed through this bootcamp. All right, and one last reminder. When you trade, make sure that, or keep in mind that trading does contain risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is money that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas and strategies and setups discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right. So with this out of the way, let me back up a little bit. I mentioned in the beginning that we are excited to have you part of our trading journey. And I should say, what a journey it has been, at least for us so far in the last 10 years. Let me, if you don't mind, back step a little bit and explain to you what were the steps of tradingindicators.com so far. What are our milestones basically in our trading journey? So it all started back in 2015, which, if you do the math, is 10 years ago. And back then, we were actually not called trading indicators. We were called differently. So this only came in a bit later. Here you can see in 2018. But back then, in 2015, it was just me, first of all. And what I did is I just quit my job at Morgan Stanley. And I specialized myself in creating trading bots, trading EAs for MT4, for MetaTrader 4. And a funny coincidence, this was back in 2015. A few weeks ago, I was in Australia invited to speak at an algo trading conference. And guess where I got my references from? From my very first days in 2015, which did 10 years ago. So I had to brush up quite a bit on what I've done back in the day, how I configured my bots, how I tested them, how I set them up, how I entered trade and exited trade, and so forth. But what a nice round trip experience this has been. But lots of things have happened in between. So we started off with creating these trading bots. I mean, I've built hundreds of those for MT5 and later on also for MT4 and later on also for MT5. But then we thought, or I thought, maybe creating bots for other people. This was basically what I've been doing. Maybe that's not the best way to spend my time. What if we developed our own tools and indicators and share them with our audience? So in 2016, we have developed our very first proprietary tool, which was called, or still called, the MT4 Portfolio Tester. And guess where I presented this tool for the very first time? It was in 2016. These were the slides back then which I used. We had a different name. You can see it here. It was called Bayous Trading. Don't ask why. It is still our legal name to this date. But back then, in 2016, in Sydney, Australia, in fact, I talked about something called end-to-end trade automation. And one big part of this was the automated testing of your bots across multiple symbols and multiple timeframes. And the tool that we've developed, or I should say 2016 here, the tool that I've developed was called the MT4 Portfolio Tester. And its very, very beginnings, it was, like a classic software engineer, it was a command line tool, like something from the 80s. It looked like this, where you had to, enter all your stuff about what you wanted to test, your symbols, your algo that you wanted to use, which parameters to use, and so forth. And at the end, the tool would be running the test, would take half an hour, maybe 1 hour, maybe sometimes even an entire night, run the test and give you all the results also in text format. These were the very beginnings of our trading company. So this was 2016. And then in 2018, I'm going to move over to this one here. A couple of things happened. So we switched gear a little bit from automated trading strategies, which we still do to this day to some degree, but it's not our focus anymore. So we switched our focus and specialized on indicator development, mainly for MT4 and MT5 back then, but also for NinjaTrader and other platforms. TradingView was not that big back in 2018. It was also then in 2018 where we changed our name, our brand, to tradingindicators.com. We actually ended up buying this domain for, I forgot how much it was, maybe 5,000 US dollars back then. So that was 2018. And then in 2022, so then things really progressed fairly quickly. In 2022, we spread even further out, where we developed our first trading dashboard, the Liquidity View dashboard, which you may have heard about. It's the tool that we use every single weekend to find the most interesting swing trades for the week and the weeks ahead. So this was developed back in 2022. And now we'll jump forward one more time to 2025. Now, we have developed, in fact, what we call an integrated ecosystem of trading solutions. And this exactly will be the focus of today's bootcamp. Sorry for the small history lesson there, but I thought perhaps this is something which might be of interest to you guys to see where we are coming from. All right. And of course, this will bring us to 2026. Now, what we are going to do in 2026, we don't know yet exactly. And we have a few things in our mind. One thing for sure is we want to improve our customer experience. So we are currently developing a new homepage. It's taking longer than expected, but it's in development. We are also creating or developing right now a customer portal, a user portal where you guys can log in to see all the products that you own, you see all the resources that come with the products and so forth, where you can manage your purchases, you manage your subscriptions and so forth. This is also in development. And of course, we also want to, also in 2026, keep developing and improving our existing indicators. Lots of things that can be done. We'll see what's going to happen in 2026. We do have big plans and we're motivated to do a lot of things. And yeah, I'm excited for the new year already. But we are currently still in 2025. So let's talk about 2025 a little bit. And in this bootcamp, I want to give you an overview of the ecosystem of trading solutions that we currently have in store. All right. So this will be the focus of this presentation, this part here, our integrated ecosystem of trading solutions. All right. And Martha said, great history lesson. All right. Mark is asking, what is the ETA for the customer portal? That's a good question, Mark. We've done quite a bit of work there. It's not ready yet. There's so many things to be considered. And of course, we're not developing it from scratch. We're using some third-party libraries for this. But of course, as with any third party, it's not fully adapted of how we offer our products for different platforms with different variations and so forth. So the customization of this is just taking a very long time. But hopefully in February 2026, that's my best guesstimate for now. Perfect. All right. So now back to the topic at hand, our integrated ecosystem of trading solutions. How does this one look like? Well, here is an overview. All right. So this does not contain all the tools that we have, but these are what we would consider our flagship indicators and trading tools. We've tried to categorize them as good as possible. So all the way on the top, you can see we have our market IQ tools. And most of you probably will know these tools already, or at least some of those. So we have liquidity IQ. We're going to zoom into all of these for detecting support and resistance levels. We have volume IQ to see where the action is, where are the most heavily traded price regions, which price regions perhaps are not so heavily traded. We have ME-Rush for the macro detection of trend and momentum. And we do have a question mark here. We're going to talk about this in a second. There's still something coming in 2025. Not today, but very soon. Stay tuned for this. And then we have our market sentiment indicators, which I at least see. So market IQ up here, these are the indicators which will help us to understand what is the current market story. Or in other words, how did price end up where it is right now? Which pathway did price take to end up where it is right now? Why is this important? Well, because you need to understand where we came from, where price came from, in order to predict where it may go next. And these indicators, they will help us with this a lot. But of course, there's always something that can be done in addition. We call this the market sentiment indicators, which will give you additional information about what's going on right now in the market, what are the market conditions, and so forth. For example, Trend Radar, showing you at a glance what are the short-term, medium, and long-term trends doing. TI Matrix, which is giving you the big picture of what is happening on all the different time frames, so that you don't have what we call time frame tunnel vision. If you were at my Ninja Trader presentation yesterday, I talked about time frame tunnel vision and how dangerous it can be. TI Matrix is a tool to prevent you from having this time frame tunnel vision. TI Pairs. Yeah, how oftentimes have you been in a situation where accidentally you placed trades on two different symbols, but ended up to be kind of the same trade? Why? Because these two symbols were correlated. And by, let's say, going long each symbol, since they're correlated, you kind of double down your risk, something probably that you don't want to do. TI pairs will help you avoid these situations, among other things. Gap IQ, something I talk about a lot when it comes to swing trading. Yeah, gaps can happen a lot. They can happen when the market opens the next trading day. They can happen over the weekend. These gaps oftentimes get closed. Not all the time, but oftentimes they do. And how many times these get closed, Gap IQ will tell you, in addition to finding these gaps for you. You can scan for them, an indicator to show you, hey, where are these particular gaps in the market? As you can see here, what we call as market sentiment tools, these are quite specific. Yeah, they are based on perhaps a particular approach that you might be using, like finding gaps or trading with gaps or looking for correlations between different symbols. Yeah, so these are more specialized, and this is also why, for example, on every price chart that we currently open up right now, whenever I do a swing trade or perhaps a day trade, these indicators up here, they are always on my price chart. But then depending on what kind of trade it is, only a subset of these indicators, the market sentiment indicators, will be on my chart. Why? Because they're very specialized and sometimes they simply don't apply for what I have in mind. All right, moving on. In the last row here, we have our trade signal indicators. And, funnily, when we started off with trading indicators, you've understood now where we are coming from. But the very first indicators that we have developed, guess which ones these were? Well, the answer is quite straightforward. I believe these were trade signal indicators. Because back in the day, we thought that's all people want to have. I just wanted to see a buy signal and a sell signal, maybe an exit signal. That was our idea of what most traders would appreciate. And of course, many traders do want these indicators on their chart. But this is really not everything, because every trade signal, and this is really where I believe the successful trader distinguishes himself or herself from perhaps a trader which is struggling, is you need to qualify your trade signal. You, as a trader, finally need to make a decision of whether you want to follow the trade signal or perhaps ignore it. And this is where all the other indicators come in, the market IQ indicators, the market sentiment indicators, which will help you to make that qualification. Anyways, so trade signal indicators. We have 1, 2, 3 strike for trend trading. Divergence cloud, which is based on the concept of divergence, of finding reversals. We have volatility crusher for trading breakouts and explosive moves. Super signals, which is a combination, a confluence indicator of 1, 2, 3 strike, divergence cloud, and volatility crusher. And we have super trend bullseye, which is our version of super trend. We call this super trend on steroids because it has all these extra features built into a variation of super trend. All right, so these are our signal indicators. And then here on the right-hand side, we have 2 additional ones. We have our scanning dashboard called Liquidity View. I showed you this already when I talked about my history lesson. It was developed back in 2022. It's fairly new. And then we have our strategy builder for Wave, which kind of brings us back full circle to where we came from. Yeah, back to my history lesson here, back to building custom bots. In this case, not for MT4, but for Wave, filling a gap there because Wave does not have a strategy builder to this date. And our tool is the only one out there. All right, so this is an overview of the ecosystem of our flagship indicators. I hope you can see that, every indicator kind of brings something different to the table. Because obviously, as traders, you don't want to have 2 indicators on your chart which do the exact same thing, just with different colors and give you kind of the same information. That would be called a redundancy. It's counterproductive. There's no added value to it. So we believe that if these 15 indicators, everyone brings something different to the table. All right. Now, you may wonder, what does this question mark here represent? Well, let me talk a little bit about this. I can't reveal quite yet what it is. It's a bit of a surprise, but I can tell you that next Thursday, on December 18 at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I know it's late for all the Europeans here, but this will also be recorded. We will be having our last tech talk for the year. we call the one last thing for 2025, where we will reveal what this question mark here will be all about. I was super excited about this. I took a couple of trades based on this new thing, and I was very, very happy with the result. So, to say the least. So, please, yeah, if you're wondering what this is going to be, go to tradingindicators.com/tag to sign up for this tech talk. And Niklas, please put this link also into the chat box if you can. All right. Perfect. So tradingindicators.com/tag to register for this last tech talk of the year. Alrighty. So with this, I'm going to go back one more time to our list here, and I'm going to ask you guys a question because I know that many of you have already used at least one, two, maybe all of our indicators in the past. And I would like to ask you guys, which of them do you like the best? Let me just quickly pull up my my poll here. 1 second. Give me a quick second here if I can find it. There we go. And okay, I think it's this one here. I'm gonna launch. Yeah, this one. All right. So you guys, you should be able to see now a little survey on your chart asking you which indicator or which trading tool in our ecosystem, of course, don't talk about the question mark, you don't know what it is yet, is your favorite right now. So please put it in. I have my theory which one it will be, but let's see what it is. So yeah, I can see the responses are coming in. I'm going to give you a few more seconds to complete it. All right. And then we're going to quickly reveal the results. Okay, okay. Oh yeah, it's not a big surprise to me at least. What is the most popular one? All right, great. Okay, perfect. So let me 48 participants have completed the poll. Maybe have 2 more seconds, and then we will close it down. All right. So if you were to voucher, I guess, which one is the most popular one? What do you think it might be? Well, yes, you probably would have said it. It's liquidity IQ. No big surprise there. It's literally an indicator which we always showcase. It doesn't matter which webinar it is. It doesn't matter what we talk about, what kind of trading we do. Liquidity view is our most popular indicator. I can see a 66% have voted for this indicator. It's a huge amount. But it is followed afterwards by volume IQ, not too far off. Also MA, sorry, MA Rush is the second one. Then volume IQ, then trend radar down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 up down here. Then TI Matrix, Gap IQ, also very popular. Then of the signal indicators, we have 1, 2, 3 strike at 20%, divergence cloud 16%, 6% volatility crusher, oops, and super signals at 4% and super trend bullseye at 6%. And some people are saying, okay, our liquidity view dashboard is also quite popular. All right. Well, thanks guys so much. This gives us a good idea of what you guys are using, and also allows us to focus on some of the more popular indicators moving into the future. Alrighty. So nobody voted for the question mark, huh? All right, so let's move on. So next, what we're gonna do is the following, and we're trying to keep this webinar as practical as possible. And David says in the chat, liquidity IQ is the best indicator ever. That's awesome. Thanks, David. And David, thanks so much for contributing in our Discord channel so much. This is very much appreciated as well. Okay, and Gerd says he loves TI Matrix, but still struggles a bit with interpreting the values of it. Maybe we can shed some light on it today. All right, so let's talk about each of these indicators in our ecosystem. And we're going to start off, I'm trying to group these a little bit at least so it doesn't take too long. We're going to start off with our market IQ indicators, liquidity IQ, volume IQ, and MA Rush. Now, real quick, and it's mostly for your reference because you're going to receive the recording afterwards. Here is a quick description of what each indicator does. I'm not going to go through it in detail. Instead, what I'd like to do is to show it to you on the chart and explain it to you while we're opening up a price chart. Sounds good? Let's do it. All right, so volume IQ is our volume profile indicator. You can see it here on the right-hand side of your price chart, and it basically shows you which price regions are the most heavily traded one, like this big high volume node here, and which price regions perhaps are the least traded ones. And this allows you to predict to what price may do in the future. For example, let's say price is stuck right now in such a high volume node here. Well, and then a prediction could be, and this happens a lot, that price might get stuck there for a while because this is a very contested price area. It may take a while to get out of this region. That could be one prediction. Conversely, if price is within such a low volume node, oftentimes price will not stick around in this low value node for very long because there's no trading going on at these price region. Price may just pace through it. So these high volume nodes, they act as decelerators, and low volume nodes act as accelerators of price. On top of this, you can also infer where price may encounter resistance or support. An example, let's say price is approaching from the upper side, a high volume node. It's coming downwards towards a high volume node. Oftentimes, this high volume node will act as support, and price may have a hard time powering through this high volume node. Instead, may bounce from it to the upside again. And this is another use case of our volume IQ indicator. So what does it give you? It gives you these high volume nodes and low volume nodes. It shows you where's the zone of control, which is the most crucial part, at least in my trading, when it comes to the volume IQ. It gives you also a read on what is the overall trend bias and in which price regions do we have perhaps a bias towards sellers, like a reddish area here, or towards buyers. Basically, it gives you a read on how price or where price might go in these areas. All right, so this is volume IQ. And moving on. Second one is liquidity IQ, an indicator, it says here in the very first line, specialized on detecting support and resistance. And this is an absolute crucial element to any form of trading. This is why liquidity IQ is on every single price chart that we open up. Knowing where these key levels are, these red lines here, which are support levels, and these greenish lines here, which are resistance levels, and where price is in relation to these lines, is absolutely crucial to your trading, because they will allow you to predict what price may do in the future. For example, if you just look at this picture here, you may have predicted that price will bounce off this red level here, which is support, towards the middle in between support and resistance. You could have made this prediction as price comes down to this level. And, a prediction is forward-looking. And in trading, of course, we always want to be forward-looking. We want to estimate where price and when price will be in the future. This is what trading is all about. This indicator and the levels that it shows you on the price chart is absolutely crucial for this. And of course, it also comes to some additional properties, such as finding what we call liquidity captures, which are high volume bars nearing a key level, which in our view further increases the odds of price holding the level rather than breaking it, and shows you when a break happens, if it happens. And it is also based on a concept which is called multi-time frame fusion, which not only looks at your chart time frame, but also looks at additional higher level time frames or higher time frames to find even stronger levels of support and resistance. And finally, we have MA Rush. Then we're going to get to the price chart. MA Rush is our macro trend indicator. It shows you, by means of these labels on your price chart, these bearish labels or these bullish labels, what is the prevailing trend direction. And as traders, oftentimes, it is advisable to trade with the trend than against it. Why? Well, because, the trend is your friend. This proverb, this trading proverb, doesn't come from nothing. There must be something to it. Oftentimes, the odds that the trend will continue are greater than the trend reversing. And trading with the trend, once again, will help you to, increase your odds of being in the right side of the price move. And MA Rush allows you to do this by giving you these labels, and as such, it can act, you can see it here, as a great filter for any trading decision that you have in mind. Let's say you want to go maybe long here at this price point for whatever reason. Maybe you had a signal indicator on the chart, maybe somebody gave you a hint, or perhaps you would think twice because MA Rush is giving you a bearish read. Maybe you would have skipped this long trade. Conversely, perhaps you would have maybe gotten a long entry signal down here. Maybe that would have been a good idea because also at the same time, MA Rush is bullish. Two things forecasting the same future price direction. We call this confluence. All right, so this is MA Rush. And as you can see it here, it is designed uh, to filter out what we call noise. What do we mean by this? And I get this question all the time, asking me, "Hey Daniel, price went down a little bit. How come MA Rush didn't change from bullish to bearish?" Well, this is exactly because of our noise filtering. MA Rush is designed to stay within a trend for as long as humanly, in quotes, of course, possible. It doesn't change its mind all the time, which I believe is not very effective. It will stick to a trend direction until there's an overwhelming evidence that the trend has changed and bullish to bearish. Only then it will print a bearish level. And oftentimes that is a better approach than constantly changing direction. All right. So with this, let's switch over to the price chart. All right. And Ralph is asking, isn't liquidity related to volume? Oh, yes, it is. And I'm going to explain to you that our liquidity IQ indicator is indeed also using volume information. All right. So first off, let's see what do we have on this price chart here. And what I've done is I went ahead and applied volume IQ. You can see it here on the right-hand side. I've applied our liquidity IQ indicator, and I have applied, let me just go back a little bit further, our MA Rush indicator. And let's start off with the SPY on the daily time frame. The SPY is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500s. What do we see here? And remember, these two indicators, we call them the market IQ indicators. They will help us understand of where price is right now and why price is at this position where it is right now. What is the story of the market? So what do we see in terms of the story of the market? Well, first off, perhaps the easiest read is that we are bullish. Price has been going up for quite some time, of course, in the SPY. You can see it here. Price has been going upwards. All right, so we are bullish. That's one part of the story. Part two is and in fact, let me just quickly enable our labels here for 1 second. I'm going to disable them a bit later. Secondly, we discussed this, by the way, on, when was it? I believe on Tuesday in our Lunch and Learn session. We can also see that price, at least yesterday, was approaching, and the day before that too, was approaching this bluish area here. And guess what this area is? It's a resistance level. On top of this, we also had yesterday a liquidity capture event as per our liquidity IQ indicator. And if you followed us for a while, you know what this often means. It means that price may have a hard time reaching this resistance level, and a bounce off this level is more likely. And what happened today? Of course, hindsight is 2020, which is such a beautiful thing to happen after we called it out. I said the same thing, by the way, yesterday. Oh, sorry. In my Ninja Trader webinar, that be careful with going long the SPY because we are right at this resistance level. What happened today? Well, we lost 1%, a bit more even at the open. Price dropped down. It's recovering a little bit now, but we did have the small pullback. So entering at yesterday's close today probably would not have been such a good idea, as price had dropped quite a bit from there. This is information which our liquidity IQ indicator can give us. Would I have shorted the market here? That's the question I always get. Would you always short when price is near a resistance level? And the answer is no, absolutely not. Why? Because it's not the only criteria. There are other criteria as well, which we need to make a trading decision. And for example, here, for shorting the SPY, I would need to see overwhelming evidence that this uptrend has come to an end. Is there evidence right now? I don't think so. Look at this here. We're going to see this also in a second when we open up Trend Radar. We are completely bullish in the SPY. I doubt that this pullback of today is even a level 1 pullback as per Trend Radar. We're going to get to this in a bit. So no, I wouldn't have shorted, but I also wouldn't have gone long yesterday in the SPY, seeing that we did come up to this resistance level. All right. So that was the SPY. And of course, we also do have volume IQ on the chart here. And for this, I'm going to switch symbols a little bit. I called out a trade yesterday. Actually, let me just quickly go to the right time frame. There we go. I called out a trade yesterday. Just give me one quick second. I have to change the reference time frame because now we're talking about day trading, shorter term trading, which was the following. Where was it? This one here. ZW. I got my alert, see, which was beautiful at 8 p.m. I was watching hockey yesterday in a sports bar. I got this alert coming in. I had my laptop with me, luckily. I looked at the price chart, and what did I see yesterday? Let me quickly go back, and then I explain to you why volume IQ can be so important as well. So I'm going to quickly go here. There we go. I'm going to go to replay mode to 8 p.m. yesterday, which was around here. There we go, 8 p.m. That's when I got the alert. Watching hockey at the Montreal Canadiens in a sports bar. I got my alert on my cell phone right here using the TradingView alert functionality. And what has happened since? The indicators are loading, and this has happened. So what did I see here? All right. So first off, I could see price of this wheat futures contract is coming up to where? This big high volume node. In fact, the zone of control of volume IQ. You can see it here. I could also see that the momentum. Oh, 1 second. This was not the right configuration. Give me a second. Let's put this properly onto the chart the way I saw it yesterday. Because you see, once this recalculates, the momentum for the symbol is bearish. We are an overall bearish trend. Okay, we're coming up to this high volume node. And what do I see just above this high volume node? Another resistance level. So here, three things are coming together. And this alert was just about this. Three things are coming together. We're approaching a high volume node from the downside, which might be acting as resistance. There's a natural resistance level as per liquidity IQ just above it. And we have bearish momentum. So I saw this. I skilled into this trade yesterday. I posted it also on Discord. And when I woke up this morning around 6:30 in the morning, I had a beautiful surprise that, price took a little while. I was jumpy a little bit. It took a little while to come down, but in the end, this trade worked out beautifully. And I closed the trade in the morning hours of today around this time here. So nice profit. And this was found. This was partially found for us by our volume IQ indicator, by the fact that the zone of control was right where price was, this big high volume node, in addition to having bearish price bias throughout all these levels. Now, this is where volume IQ comes in. All right. So, Nicholas, are there any questions so far?
Checking. Okay, we have that one. Yeah, to look at TI matrix. Maybe we'll shed some light on that later.
Yeah.
Wants to know, isn't liquidity related to volume? Did you already answer this, Daniel?
Oh, I did not yet. So liquidity IQ, specializes in finding these resistance and support levels. That's what it does day in and day out. But these levels, or to calculate these levels, the indicator is taking into account volume. We call these volume significant support and resistance levels. So yes, volume does play a role in calculating these levels. But in the end, for the trader, for the consumer, so to say, the end product are pretty much these support and resistance levels on your price chart, which once again will drive so many of your trading decisions.
And Daniel, this actually ties perfectly into David S's question. He says, can you explain exactly how the indicator analyzes, or I guess generates liquidity capture events on a technical level? Is it just high volume at one price, high volume from one market participant?
A good point. So it's not high volume from one market participant because in TradingView, for example, you don't get this breakdown of volume data. So that's not what's happening. For example, in fact, we may at some point come up with a pro version of Liquidity IQ, which will do this kind of analysis, but the current version doesn't do it. So let's give an example. So let's say this liquidity capture event here, which would have been a fantastic short trade, this one up here as well. So these liquidity capture events are candles which are wicking towards a resistance level or towards a support level, if they're down candles, and they're coming into this level, they cannot completely break it. They may get into it, maybe even break it a little bit, but it's not a complete tear of the level. Yeah? And these candles have abnormally high volume. In our case, it's sufficient to have above average volume. So if these conditions are true, then a liquidity capture event is flagged on your price chart. And in our view, oftentimes these are events which will increase, of course, they're not guarantees in trading, but which will increase the odds of price bouncing off the level rather than breaking the level. You can see this happens all the time. Here, a capture event. Here, one. We actually went above this level a bit. That's acceptable. It's not a complete tear off the level, and then we bounced off it. Here, liquidity capture, bounce. So this is the power of these levels. And had we seen such a liquidity capture event yesterday at this candle here, this would have been just another piece of confluence, which would have conveyed me, hey, or convinced me, hey, this is a really good trade idea. So David, I hope this clarifies it. All right, perfect. Okie dokie. So let's move on, shouldn't we? Let's talk about the next set of indicators, which are our market sentiment indicators. Trend radar, a very popular one as Power Poll, TI matrix, TI pairs, and gap IQ. So once again, I'm going to keep my theoretical discussion of what these indicators are to a minimum, because I want to focus on the price chart. So trend radar, what is it? It basically will display underneath your price chart this heat map. You can see it here, showing you or allowing you to see at a glance what the short-term trend, the highest line, the medium-term trends, the center lines, and the longer-term trends are doing. So if the color is red, it means it's going down, it's a downtrend. If the color is green, it means it's an uptrend. It basically gives you an immediate glance of the market conditions. We're going to get to this in a second. And once there's so many reads that you can do with trend radar. For example, you can see entire trend shifts. You can see it here. An entire green area suddenly becomes completely red, meaning an uptrend has come to an end and shifted into a downtrend. We can see signs of exhaustion. Notice the stair-stepping pattern here of this of the red area creeping in. Sorry, the green area creeping in. It's getting more and more green. You can see it here. That means this downtrend is weakening. It's softening up and is slowly and step by step being replaced by an uptrend. And we can see what we call healthy pullbacks. If you're joining us on the weekend, tomorrow, for example, at our live scanning session, you know this is one sign that we always scan for, a pullback within an uptrend. These are great opportunities to re-enter into the original trend direction. All these things can be found with trend radar. TI matrix. This is an indicator which basically displays a table on your price chart. Not just any table, a table which will allow you to see what is happening on higher time frames. It is the only indicator in our repertoire, or not, well, I guess it's the main indicator in our repertoire which will guide you and shield you from having time frame tunnel vision, because you can see immediately what's going on these higher time frames. And the indicator now in its current version can be completely customized. You can set your custom time frames. You can see how many time frames you want to have displayed in the indicator and so forth. So against an indicator shielding you against higher time frame or time frame tunnel vision, I should say, and it will give you an at the glance view of what is going on these other time frames. Where's support? Where's resistance? What is the overall trend score? And what is the overall score for the entire direction of the market move? So in this case here, 88, for example, I would indicate to you, okay, we are very bullish across the board. You can see everything here is greenish, only one reddish value giving you a really high score. If the score is like negative, let's say minus 60, minus 70, it means we are very bearish. This is what this indicator will also show you directly at a glance. And then we have TI pairs, our correlation indicator. We primarily use it to make sure that when we enter a trade, that we don't already have a trade open in the same trade direction on a correlated pair. Because if we did, that means we would double down on our risk. And as you know, risk management is so crucial when it comes to trading. TI pairs allows you to see this. You can see it here by means of these numbers in the matrix It's like a matrix here. If there is a number written out, it means these two pairs are correlated. For example, here, ES, you can see ES is the S&P 500 futures, and NQ, the Nasdaq futures. There's a number in there. The higher the number, the more correlation there is, indicating to you, yes, there's a correlation between these two symbols. Not very surprising because, you know, NQ is a big part of the S&P 500. Like the Nasdaq stocks, the technology stocks are the biggest sector in the S&P 500. There's a natural correlation because of this. Yeah? And if we have negative values there, that means we do have an inverse correlation. That's possible too. And sometimes symbols, they move in inverse direction. Yeah? When one goes up, the other one will go down. This is also some sort of correlation. It's also possible on these kind of symbols to over leverage yourself, to take a trade. If it's a short trade on one symbol and the long trade on the other one, you might be once again over leveraged, taking too much risk. You double down your risk. You want to avoid this. Another use case for this indicator is to find out, okay, let's say we do have two correlated symbols, like ES and NQ. We already know this. They're correlated. You can see these numbers written out here. Maybe one of them is a front runner and the other one is a laggard. Why is this important? Well, if they're correlated, maybe if one is moving ahead, the other one still needs to catch up. And you can bet on this fact. For example, in this case, you can see ES is a front runner compared to NQ right now. In that case, maybe it would be an interesting idea, okay, to potentially place a trade in NQ, which will allow us to catch up to ES, wherever that direction is. If ES is going up, then NQ perhaps hasn't gone up that much yet. Maybe a long trade at NQ might be not such a bad idea. This is also possible to see in our TI pairs indicator. And finally, I just talked about these front runners and laggards. And finally, we have our gap IQ indicator, an indicator allowing you to see, first of all, what are the currently open gaps still remaining? And more importantly, what is the historical fill rate of these gaps? Now, some symbols, they have super high fill rates, both in the up gap direction and the down gap direction, allowing you to make an educated, I guess, to predict, okay, in the future, it is very likely that this gap will be tested and filled. And you can trade accordingly, because for a gap to get filled, well, what price would need to move in that direction? Again, this is a forward-looking piece of information. And once again, trading is about looking forward into the future and predicting what price may do in the future. All right, so without further ado, let's switch over once again to TradingView. All right, so I'm going to be opening up, first of all, our TI matrix and our trend radar indicator. Let's start with these ones first. And the first thing I'm going to show you is a daily chart of the SPY. All right, what are we seeing? So daily chart in the SPY, okay. Okay, what do we see here? Well, remember when I said, let me just quickly bring it back on 1 second, guys, because I also want to put the SPY up here with liquidity IQ on, because there's a point I would like us trying to make. 1 second, just go here to the chart time frame. All right. And also here, bear with me for 1 second. All right, SPY on the daily time frame. Perfect. So what do we see here? Remember what I said? That price is approaching resistance. And at least last night when I saw this, I said, hey, be careful with your long positions. Maybe there's a pullback coming. So we've seen this pullback. Absolutely. But should this be any concern of, hey, maybe our overall bullish trend is coming to an end, we're reversing to the bearish side? Absolutely not. Why? Well, let's have a look at trend radar. Same indicator, but now trend radar is on. What do we see here in trend radar? Look at this down here. Let's skip TI matrix for now. What do we see here? Well, everything is green pretty much. And the pullback that we've seen today, look what kind of pullback this is. It's just one level down. That's nothing. It's just a level one pullback. It's actually a very shallow pullback, what we see right now in trend radar. I personally Yeah, I probably would wait until a level 2 or level 3 pullback, or maybe even level 4 before I'm thinking about perhaps re-adding something to my SPY position. So this is a very shallow pullback. Very similar in QQQ, in the Nasdaq 100 ETFs. Ah, it's a bit deeper, but still only a level 3 pullback. Nothing to be concerned about. This happens all the time in the past. And in fact, these were interesting opportunities to potentially add something to your existing long-term position, or perhaps to enter into a new long trade. You want to enter on these pullbacks, and Trend Radar allows you to exactly find these pullbacks. All right. And one more thing, I'm just curious, what about silver? Silver, of course, had a big drop today. And what kind of pullback do we see here? Nothing. Look at this. That is so funny. This has to do, by the way, this is not a bug. I know silver went down, but we were so extended in the past. Price moved up parabolically so fast that even this 4% drop in silver doesn't even register on Trend Radar because we were so extended. That is funny. All right. Interesting. This is because of the parabolic move that we've just seen here in silver. All right, so this is our Trend Radar will give you. And now let's have a look at TI matrix. And for this, I'm going to switch time frames. Let's go to the MNQ time frame here on the 50-minute, let's say, and we're going to enable TI matrix. Let me just hide Trend Radar real quick and go to TI matrix. Remember, TI matrix is or will give you an at-the-glance read of what's going on higher time frames. So here we are on the 50-minute time frame, which is right at the beginning here. We can see on the other time frames, predominantly all the way up to the 4-hour time frame, it looks pretty bearish. So certainly things, at least from a day trading point of view, you can see, okay, the sentiment is pretty bearish up until the 4-hour time frame. We could even customize this further. We could perhaps add, okay, let's add 2 more time frames to it, the daily and the weekly. What do we see here? Also on the daily, we can see it's a bit of uh, a bearish read here. Why? Because we are approaching resistance. You can see here we are right at the resistance level on the daily time frame, which has caused this pullback. But of course, on the weekly, the longest time frame, we are still very bullish. Well, this gives you a read of what's going on, like macro trend bullish. But of course, right now, a bit of a slowdown in the market. And this is able to see directly with our TI matrix indicator. And Garrett, for you, how to interpret these numbers? Well, that's a really good question. First of all, these numbers are all normalized. So they range between minus 100 and plus 100. Yeah, and of course, the closer the number is to minus 100, the more bearish the overall sentiment is, and the closer it is to plus 100, the more bullish it is. So if we go to silver, for example, you probably will see right here that even with this pullback right now, we're kind of in neutral territory because on the larger time frames, we are still so bullish on silver. So I hope this helps a little bit. Oh, you mean the values in the fields where the arrows are? Oh, okay. So for this, what Gerd is referring to is instead of showing these arrows here, the indicator has an option to show the actual values. So let me just go in here, value display. I'm gonna go to values. All right, and now once I do this, and Niklas, maybe you can comment on this real quick. What is the meaning of these numbers inside the matrix?
Yeah, sure. So for the trend row, it's basically a combination. It's a multi-time frame volume weighted moving average, basically by default. So it's telling you where is this moving average trend line. If the values are red, it means that that is above price. So we're below the trend line on that time frame. So here, for example, on the 1 hour, we can see that current price is, what's current price, Daniel? It's $62.01. We can see on the 1 hour time frame, the trend is actually up at $63.24. So we're below the trend line. Only on the daily, weekly, of course, because silver is hitting all-time highs, daily, weekly, and 5-minute are we currently above trend. So for trend row, it's a multi-time frame moving average, essentially, volume weighted by default. For sentiment, we have basically kind of like a stochastic, our little own proprietary oscillator happening here, kind of similar to an RSI, but it's giving you a sense of how bullish or bearish things are. And again, it's multi-time frame. And these values, I think it's below or above 40 and below or above 60 that decides if it's red or bullish or bearish. So here we could see It is actually oversold. Is this correct? Let me just move my screen
Yeah, it
over.
should be.
Oversold on those time frames. And we could see on the 5 minute, I mean, Daniel's on the 15-minute chart here, right? And we could see that on the chart, we bounced up from $61 mark in the last couple hours. We could
And
see
look
that
at
the
this
sentiment,
5 minute one here, real quick, Nicholas. It went
yeah, just
gray.
like,
That
yeah,
means it's within the neutral zone between 60 and 40. That means it's like a neutral sentiment. So,
it's basically a reading of are we overbought, are we oversold, are we exhausted in one direction or the other. So what it's telling us right now is look on the 1 hour chart, we're pretty exhausted to the downside. We're oversold. And you can
yeah.
see that on the chart, we dropped from $65 to $61 within 3 or 4 hours. On the daily and weekly, especially on the weekly. And Daniel, if you could hop over to the weekly chart, actually, we
Yeah.
could see, look,
What
it
a
says
weekly chart.
90. It's almost at 90. It's way overbought. And this makes sense. If we look at the weekly
Yeah.
chart, the silver chart just looks absolutely insane. We're way overbought. Or at
Yes.
least it's going to get exhausted sometime soon. Price has almost doubled within the span of 20 bars or something on this time frame, 30 bars. So sentiment that is basically overbought, oversold. Trend is basically a moving average or where trend is. And then support and resistance are kind of similar to liquidity IQ, a little more simplistic, but the same concept, multi-time frame support and resistance levels. And the color is based on is the resistance above us or is the support below us? Here we can see we have support at 60.56. On the 1 hour, the 45 minute, on the daily chart, 45.51, we're above those. So it has a bullish color and the resistances are red if they are above price. So it's
Yeah,
kind
let
of
me go
intuitive.
to let
Yeah.
me go to the 1 hour real quick just to see what this would be. So here, for the 1 hour support at 60.56, that would be around this level here. And look, we're actually approaching this level right now. Silver, and this is maybe why silver is stalling out a little bit from this bearish move down today. Yeah, because we're approaching support.
Yeah, and if you slapped liquidity IQ on the chart, you don't have to, but oftentimes these levels will match up because we did share some of the logic
Yeah,
in TI Matrix. That's why it has a lot of stuff going on.
perfect. Yeah, I hope Gad this explains it. All right. Okay, and MS. Okay, let's look at the custom symbols a bit later. Okay. So I want to move on to our next indicator. So this was TI matrix, which is TI pairs. So what you can see here, as mentioned, is to see which indicators are currently correlated to one another. So how does this one work? So first off, and this is so funny, look at this one here, only 50 minutes and 30 minutes time frame. I don't think I've ever seen this before. We have right now a 100% positive correlation between NQ, the Nasdaq 100 futures, and ES. Wow, that's crazy. Have you ever seen this, Nicholas? That must be one of the abnormalities. I guess both symbols did go down in tandem today,
Oh,
showing
wow.
us this
No, I've
100%
never seen
correlation
that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. All right, cool. So, yeah, basically, what this will mean to you, and you probably already knew this from a practical point of view. Let's say you already had a trade open. Let me just go here. A trade open on, let's say, MNQ, a long trade. You probably don't want to take this very same trade on ES as well. Why? Because you will see the exact same price move. Price coming down today and now recovering a little bit on ES as well. I'm gonna go to ES here. Look here. A little same thing. Almost the exact same pattern on the ES. Meaning both symbols right now. Look how beautiful they bounce off the support level down here. That's why these levels of liquidity IQ are so absolutely crucial. And just one little fun fact, little detour. Look where we're coming up against. The zone of control of volume IQ. This big high volume node here. And if I had to make a guess, I would imagine price will at least slow down as it approaches this level, maybe even bounce off this level because this may act as resistance for another leg further down. That would be my educated guess based on where price is right now and what do I see here in a volume IQ. Would you agree, Nicholas, that this is a potential possibility? Of
Yeah,
course it is.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so back to TI pairs. So the indicator basically allows you to see these correlations and helps you to avoid trading two different symbols, which are like NQ and ES, heavily correlated. But if you, for example, have a trade open in ES and CL are the crude oil futures, you can see basically there's no correlation whatsoever on there. 13 is a very low number. It's nowhere near 100. This is basically very little correlated. There, it wouldn't matter whether you have two long trades on both symbols, or perhaps two short trades, or perhaps one long, one short. It would not matter. All right. Okay, so That was TI pairs. Now let's move on one more indicator, uh, which is our gap indicator. You can see it here. It's called Gap IQ, and it shows you when applied to the price chart. You can see it directly here whether there are any currently opened gaps remaining. And just by looking at this chart, what happened here in recent history, we see this huge number here, 49.7%. What can we infer from this? Well, let's back up just a little bit. First off, notice the color of this box here. So what is this color? It's greenish. So what we are looking at right now is definitely potentially a bullish play. It's greenish. If it would have been a bearish play, it would have been reddish. But in this case, it's greenish. All right. So secondly, let's go to the beginning of this box. What do we see here at the very beginning? Well, we see price closed at this level up here, 604, and then reopened thanks to earnings down here at 425, leaving this big gap left behind. Okay, so we have a down gap, and this is something you have to train your mind to. Down gaps are typically bullish plays. Price gap down, and if this gap was to be filled, where would price needs to go? It would need to go upwards. This is why we call this greenish. It's a bullish play potentially. We can also see here that right now, as of this moment, this gap has not been filled yet. It's been partially filled to 49.7%. So price went all the way up to here. That's 49% of the gap, but we didn't go all the way up here. So there's still some gap fill to be left behind. And now the kicker, if we look at our statistics here, if we go to the down gap column here, we can see in the history of this symbol, this is the only unfilled down gap as of right now. All the other down gaps have been filled over time. We can even see on average since 2000, wow, this number I think is a bit skewed. It takes 169 trading days to fill the gap, but this is because our look back period is so long. Let me actually show you a little trick for Gap IQ. Let me set the cutoff date here to something more recent. I think 2020 is a little bit crazy. Maybe let's go to 2010, January 1st. Let's set it like this and let the indicator recalculate. You can see it's loading here. 2010, yeah, it takes 28.4 days since 2010. That's more reasonable. Okay, so for this gap to be filled. So this is definitely a swing trading approach, betting on the fact over time, in the medium term, this gap is likely to get filled. And if you combine this with other technical factors, for example, where's support, where's resistance, what's the overarching trend, you can find some really interesting trade ideas that way. All right, so that was our gap indicator. Let me see if there are questions so far. Okay, Gerd is asking for the symbol. This is fine. Okay, so this was Gap IQ. But let's move on. We have a few more to cover. Let's move on to our last row here, our signal indicators. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, when we started off with trading indicators, these were the kind of indicators we focused on trade signals, giving you very concrete buy or sell signals on your price chart. Later on, we realized this is not sufficient. You also need to understand what is the market story, what's the overall bias or sentiment of the market to further qualify these signals. All right, so what are these signal indicators? Well, 1, 2, 3 strike is the first one. A classic indicator, I think most of you have heard this indicator before in one of our presentations. It is our classic trend trading indicator. And it will give you a trend entry signal. You can see these greenish arrows here on your price chart if three things are coming together. We need to have directionality. So price must have been moving in the direction for quite some time. We need to have an increase in volume and an increase in volatility. And if all three things come together, an entry signal is printed directly on your price chart. But of course, entering into a trade is just one part of the story. We can just enter. Eventually, we need to get out of the trade. We need to manage our trade. This is why it was clear to us from the very beginning, when we started developing signal indicators, we also must have exits on our chart. Because getting out of the trade is just as important as getting into the trade. This is why all of the indicators, which you will see right now, with the small exception of super signals, which doesn't have it right now, we will also see these exit suggestions and these little arrows in the opposite direction of the entry on your price chart, showing you basically, okay, something is happening, maybe the trend is weakening, perhaps time to take some partial profits. And of course, we also have a trading stop You can see it here when you would completely close out your trade. On top of this, we give you two additional uh, features which allow you to be more precise and make better trading decisions. Feature number one is this little box here. You see the statistics box with the number 69.23% and 60.98% for the long win percentage and short win percentage. This one shows you what is the historical win rate for long signals or short signals on this particular symbol and time frame. Whenever you change symbols, this will change. The win rates will change. Whenever you change time frames, this win rate will change as well. All right, so this is what 1 to 3 strike does. It's our trend indicator. Oh, and one more thing I forgot. All the indicators I'm showing you right now, they also auto-optimize. What does this mean? Well, it means that they will find, so like every indicator, also our indicators, they come with parameters. Sometimes, a certain setting works better for a particular chart than another setting. And figuring out what the perfect setting is, that's not an easy task. Not for anyone. It's tedious to find anyways. This is why we have equipped all our signal indicators now. We didn't start off like this, but by now they're all equipped with what we call auto optimization, meaning they will try out all sorts of combinations of settings to find the ones which work the best on the chart, on the current chart and time frame. Auto optimization, a huge time saver. Because this happens in the background so that you as a trader don't have to do it. Because you as a trader, what do you need to focus on? It's whether you want to take that trade or not to make that decision. You don't want to play around with parameters. That's too tedious. That's exhausting. This will take away your energy. All right, so this is 1 to 3 strike, our trend indicator. Then we also have divergence cloud, an indicator based on the concept of divergence, which is basically a disagreement of price and an underlying indicator. And if this happens, then potentially a change in regime may be coming up. An uptrend potentially maybe reversing into a downtrend, or vice versa, a downtrend may be reversing into an uptrend. This indicator specializes in finding these divergences, and it will give you entry signals based on what it finds. Also equipped with auto optimization, with win rate prediction, and a trading stop and position sizing. And you can even see these colors on the chart, which you can use as a filter for any other trade idea that you may have. For example, you may only go long if the chart color is also green, or only go red if the chart color is also reddish at the same time. Go short if the chart color is also reddish. So you wouldn't go against it. And then we have volatility crusher, our breakout indicator, specialized on finding of what we call strong breakouts. What's a strong breakout? Well, in our book, a strong breakout is a breakout where price will continue in the direction of the breakout for quite some time after the breakout occurs. This is a strong breakout, and you can imagine how you as a trader could act on this. How? Well, you would simply initiate a trade in the direction of the breakout, anticipating, okay, price will continue in that direction for quite some time afterwards. All right, so that was a volatility crusher. And let's check it out. So I'm going to go to the chart right now, real quick, moving here. And let's look at our signal indicators, starting off with 1 to 3 strike. What do we see here? On NASDAQ, the NASDAQ futures on the 5-minute time frame. So look what we see right here on the top of this chart. Also, we had this little long trade, which we took partial exits from at 9 a.m. today and at 9:10. And then we got the sell signal here. It says sell signal means, okay, close out your remaining long position. We went in here 4 contracts and reverse it to the short side. And look how beautifully this would have worked out had you taken this trade. What a move downwards. We had one little white triangle, here another one, here another one, here another one. We had 4 partial exits, and now we're closed out. How do we know we closed out? Because this trading stop here has come to an end. This red line is our trading stop. Here it doesn't print anymore. That means this last triangle here was your final exit. Now we're flat. We closed out the trade. By the way, the number of partial exits, the number of triangles that you want to take, this is a setting in the indicator itself. You can configure it. For example, here, if you go to the settings, we can say, okay, I only want to see 2 partial exits. and long or short direction. You can do this, and once the indicator recalculates, you can see, okay, here for this short trade, we had 2 partial exits, then the indicator went short again, where only 1 exit is triggered. And for this particular one, we are still in that trade. So because the configuration has changed, we're still in the short trade. You can see the trading stop here. We're just waiting, essentially, for another leg further down. And this is where the indicator probably would give us another partial exit. All right. So this is how the indicator works. With our latest generation of the Power Bundle, we have included auto optimization also for TradingView, meaning the indicator will do a back test in the background, trying to find the best setting automatically for you. If you're wondering what these settings are, what you can do in the indicator itself, you can tell it, okay, indicator, show me, where are we? Show best settings. You can set this to yes. Okay. And then in the box, you can see, okay, for this particular chart, the 5-minute chart of MNQ, the best settings are 5 for volatility period, 45 for volume period, 5 for MA period, and 20 for slow MA period. Let's say I change time frames from the 5-minute chart maybe to the 30-minute. Let's look at these values. They're different. 20, 15, 10, 60. Why are they different? Well, because we are now have a completely different chart on our hand. We're on a different time frame. Different settings are deemed optimal. This is where the power of auto optimization comes in. But there's one more thing. Look at what we see here in our statistics box. Right now, the profit factor for long trades is at 3.57%, 3.57, it's not a percent. And for short trades, it's only 0.62. If you know anything about the profit factor, you may know that anything below 1 is deemed to be not profitable. So what would we do when we get a signal like this, like a short signal, which only came in at this price point here? Actually, only around here. Well, it would mean we probably don't want to take this signal because, first of all, it came in very late on this time frame for 30-minute. And secondly, our profit factor for short trades is not very good, meaning it, historically speaking, these short trades, even though these worked okay, but over time, they didn't work out so well. I shouldn't perhaps trust my short signals so much. All right, so this is 1, 2, 3 strike. Let's move on. Next indicator, divergence cloud. I'm going to go back to my 5-minute chart. I'm going to keep it a bit faster. Divergence cloud, first off, draws these background colors onto your price chart, either reddish or greenish or no color at all. Meaning these are areas of bearish divergence. These are areas of bullish divergence. And if there's no color, it means there's no divergence right now. Besides this, it will give you your long entry signals, your short entry signals, along with position sizing, the number 1, 2, 9. These are contract sizes based on how far your trading stop is away and what your risk tolerance is. And you can also see the trading stop here, greenish for long trades and reddish for short trades. And finally, and of course, we also have auto optimization in our win rates. And finally, we have volatility crusher, putting it on. Yeah, our breakout indicator, showing you, okay, when a breakout occurred, you can see these boxes printed on your chart. These are our breakout boxes, and price breaks either below or above such a box, we get an entry signal. Remember the concept of a strong breakout, which is a breakout where price will continue in the breakout direction for quite some time afterwards. You can see it here. We had the breakout, and price continued in the direction. Here we had a breakout, it didn't work out, we got stopped out. It happens. Here we had a breakout, a very shallow box, and it worked. And by the way, the indicator is smart. If this look back box is very shallow, like this one here, then it sets its target very conservatively because we can't really expect that much of a move from such a shallow breakout box. Okay? So this is how the indicator adapts to current market conditions. And also this indicator is equipped with auto optimization and win rate prediction. All right. So with this, let me see if there are any questions.
Daniel, we got one from Marcus. He says he uses the dashboard liquidity view.
Yeah.
He likes the scanner. If he uses your indicators in trading view, could he basically add watch lists and use them as indicators to scan in the same way you would on the dashboard, looking for bounces and retraces, liquidity captures, etc.?
That's a question that perhaps you are better equipped to answer, Nicholas, because there's some limitations, as I understand, with the Pine script scanner right now.
Yeah, so right now, no, you can't do that. But Daniel, I was thinking it comes with our secret coming out next week there.
Yeah, there might be some news there. Uh, that's true. I forgot about this. So Marcus, please stay tuned. Okay, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Too much talking.
And
All right.
one
And I
quick,
see there's one more question from Cliff.
yep. For Volatility Crusher, lately when he applies it, it's been put in
And
the
Nicholas,
box.
you're a bit faint voice-wise.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
1 second. Let me just,
It's
is this
better
better?
now. It's better, yeah.
Okay, so for Volatility Crusher, lately when he applies it, it's putting the box in the trending cycle versus the ranging portion of the price action. Is there a macro setting I need to adjust? No, Cliff. It's basically tuned in to find those breakouts of the ranging portions, but it's essentially based on relative volatility and how explosive of a move is relative to the size of the current candles. So even if there's a trending cycle, it can still spot a move and it still might. So we can see here on Daniel's chart, Daniel, a little bit to the left of your mouse, right there, that one that's short signal right there. That came when price was already going down, but relative to the action that led into it, it was an explosive extra drop downwards. So it's not only going to come in ranging portions,
Yeah.
and it doesn't look for it in that sort of specific way. Um, David wants to know, Daniel, you said signal indicators should not be used alone. How to combine them? Do you check the location with Liquidity IQ and just
Oh yeah.
enter a Power AI
Yeah.
signal if the location fits?
Yeah. That I mean, I always double check. So let's say for these signals here on the chart, let's see if we put liquidity IQ, oops, onto the chart as well. At the minimum, I'm checking if there's any room left in that trade. Meaning, let me just see once this calculates. Meaning, do we actually have enough room until we approach support or resistance level? So, for example, here, if you want to go long here, but we do see some. This is not the proper time frame here. We do see some levels coming up. This may mean okay, price doesn't really have much room left to come to move ahead, to move above, move to the long direction because we're coming up right to a broken support, which may be acting as resistance. So yeah, at the minimum, I check this. So for me, the signal needs to make sense in the context of the market and the market structure we're looking at. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter what the statistics are, I will skip it.
You okay? Is there an option to buy the indicators on a lifetime basis? And if so, do they still get updated once you purchase them?
Yeah, that's Petra, absolutely. In fact, on our charts, if you look carefully, what we did here, we put like a little link where you can find out more about the indicator along with the price point. And with the exception of our liquidity view dashboard, which has a running cost for us, so we can't offer a lifetime license there. But with the exception of that dashboard, every single indicator does have a lifetime price. You can find out what that is by going to these links here. And I think, not sure, Nicholas, did you put these links also into the chat as we proceed or not yet?
I
Maybe
did
that's
not. I'm going to put them all in right now.
okay, perfect. Yeah. And Gary, I'm gonna go to that chart in just a bit. Let's go to the go through the indicators first, so we can complete this, and we're gonna look at some individual symbols along with the indicators that you would like to apply there. Okay, so moving on, back to the chart. Super signals. All right, so what is super signals? Super signals is our confluence indicator based on the power bundle indicators. Sounds complicated. I think it's best I just show you what I mean by this. So I'm going to switch over once again to TradingView. And of course, we have these indicators also other time frames, but let's just see what that means. So this is our super signals indicator. And the first thing you see is this huge matrix or table below the price chart. What do we see here? Well, first off, we see the individual indicators mentioned in here. 1, 2, 3 strike, divergence cloud, and volatility crusher. And you can see exactly what are these indicators doing right now. Are they currently in a position? Do they currently have a signal and so forth? But this is not the main part of it. The main part of our super signals indicator is to show you by means of these either rather small triangles or bigger triangles if there is currently a situation where multiple indicators, at least two, are forecasting the same price move. And if that's the case, we have what we call confluence. And the more indicators are coming together, forecasting the same price move, the higher the confluence level is and the bigger the trade signal is. You can see it here. We had a couple of gold signals. Yeah. For a short, here a long trade, worked out nicely. Here also a gold signal for a long trade, which worked quite nicely. As a rule of thumb, the bigger the triangle on your chart, the more confluence we have. And in fact, we have 4 levels. We have bronze. You can see these little bronze levels here. We have silver levels, and then we have gold. And we also have platinum. Our platinum is exceedingly rare. Let me see if I can find some platinum here just by scrolling through these levels. Probably not, but you can see how nicely these levels oftentimes work. And the higher the confluence factor, oftentimes, the better the quality of the subsequent move. Yeah, I don't see any platinum here. They do exist, so it's just a matter of finding them. They're super rare, but gold signals are also rare. Not so rare are bronze signals. You can see they happen all the time, or silver signals, because they require less confluence to happen. So this is our super signals indicator. And finally, we have what we call super trend bullseye. It's our take on a classic indicator out there called super trend. It's one of the most influential trend trading indicators out there. The classic super trend, which we didn't develop, was developed by a French guy. He wrote a couple of books about this indicator. It was one of the first trend following indicators out there, specializing on early detection of trend reversals. And it was also what was called a stop and reverse or always in the market indicator, meaning you stay in a trend for as long as you get stopped out. There's a trading stop involved, so you're locking in profits along the way. You stay in that trend, and eventually you get stopped out. You can see here that that white line eventually got breached. Then you go short. You stay in that short trade until once again, see the trading stop here, you get stopped out. Then you go long again, then short again, then long again, then short again. This is the classic super trend. But of course, the classic super trend lives and dies from where you place your trading stop, how tight you place that trading stop. If it's very tight, you may get stopped out prematurely. If it's very loose, you may give away lots of profits. So finding that right distance of your trading stop was oftentimes more like an art than a science. We tried, with our take on it, to take away the guesswork by letting the indicator decide, based on current market conditions, what should be the distance of that trading stop. How close should it be to price, or how far away should it be from price? The indicator will do this automatically for you. Let me show you how this works. So once again, I'm going to go to TradingView, and I'm going to open up a chart here with Super Trend Bullseye. And here on the 5-minute chart of MNQ. Okay, so what do we see here? All right, so first off, we can see on this chart right now, a couple of minutes ago, we reversed from this bearish trade, the sell signal here, the white signal, you can see the trading stop, to right now, a bullish signal. So the indicator thinks, okay, that bearish move has exhausted itself. It broke our trading stop, and now we're going long, potentially for another leg further up. All right, and the distance of the trading stop has been set to a multiplier of 3 of the ATR 10. Why there? Well, the indicator did some analysis in the background using its auto optimization feature to determine that this trading stop distance is the optimal one, which will give you the best performance in terms of profit factor, which right now is 3.01. But look how this setting will change when I change time frame or symbol. So I'm going to go from MNQ, let's say, to gold, MGC. Now it's a multiplier of 4 in a period of 45. It's a bit further away, the trading stop. Why? Because that tends to be working better for gold on the 5-minute time frame. Let's change it again. Let's go to silver. It's also 4. Okay, coincidentally. So you can see this will adapt all the time based on the time frame and symbol at hand. Let's just go, maybe for the fun of it, let's go to the daily time frame on silver. It's 1, yeah, of course, because we're just running a very tight ship here. Probably wouldn't trade it, it's too tight for my purposes, but of course, the way silver has been going, this would have been a good trading stop. But there's more to it. You may say, hey, Daniel, something is weird. What about this case here? You can see it here, price actually wicked above this trading stop. Well, this is a setting in the indicator, which is called reverse on close, meaning only when the close of the candle is breaking the trading stop, we're reversing our signal. But you may say, oh, this is not very practical for me. I need to submit my stop loss of my broker. I can't really, submit an on close stop order. It will be triggered when our price actually gets there on touch. Well, you could tell the indicator, okay, instead of using the on close reversal policy, use the on touch reversal. Let's see this. Once I do this, the indicator will recalculate. Look, now we are reversing whenever we're touching the trading stop. You won't have a case where we're wicking above it, coming back down, and not reversing. That's not possible. So this is another feature we have built into our Supertrend Bullseye indicator, depending on your preference. And of course, this one also comes with win rate prediction and auto optimization, as I mentioned before. All right.
Daniel, we have a
Yes.
question here from Theodore, or S. Theodore. How compatible is your software with various trading or charting packages like TradingView or Metastock?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the indicators that we've shown you right now, they basically work the same on TradingView, NinjaTrader, and Wave. Many of them also will work with MetaTrader 4 and 5 the same way. For Metastock, yes. Oh, for Metastock, actually, we do have the same indicators there as well, except for Liquidity IQ, MA Rush, and Volume IQ. But we have Super Trend Bullseye, we have the Power Bundle, and Super Signals available, and also Trend Radar for Metastock.
Yeah. And then we have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And what I wanted to say is if you go to the product page, and Nicholas, did you paste
all
in
the
the
links
links?
are in the chat for every
Perfect.
indicator we
Yeah,
covered.
great. If you go to that product page, guys, you can see which platforms are currently supported on each product page. Simply by checking out that page. It really depends a little bit on the indicator. Sometimes, like in the case of Volume IQ, for example, we already know there's no way that we will ever have a Metastock version of it, or we will ever have a Think or Swim version of it. It's just not possible with this kind of calculations that are needed for it. The indicator will not support, the platform will not support it. But you can find out on each product page. And by the way, if you're watching this recording, and if you want to check out this product page, the link is also displayed always at the bottom of each slide.
Thank you. And
Yes.
then we have a question from
Mm-hmm.
Rajiv here. Can you explain the difference between the swing, custom, and scalp settings for Super Trend Bullseye?
I
I can explain that if
guess.
you'd like,
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah, I'm just going to show them where they are real quick.
Sure.
If we have them in here, do we?
They're up there, up at the top, and where it says custom in the optimization
Oh,
category,
down here. Yes.
right there,
Okay.
optimization preset. So
Yeah.
So you have custom, which basically allows you to define which values for
Okay.
the multiplier in the period are going to be tested by the backtester and the optimizer. So you can see below there, there's a start, the end,
Yeah, it's
starts
this
at
one.
1, goes to 4, in increments of 1. That means it'll test all these different combinations. That's probably something like 70 combinations or 90 combinations. It'll see, okay, what happens if the multiplier, which is the distance of the trailing stop essentially, is 1, 2, 3, 4, and test that up with all these different variations of the ATR period between 5 and 45. So that's custom. If you set it to swing trading, it's going to figure out what those start, end, and increment values should be for you based on what we have found is good for swing trading. So generally on swing trading, that's going to be a wider stop. And on what was the other option called? Scalping. On scalping, it's going to be a tighter stop because you're probably not risking as much. You're not willing to risk as much or too much of a trend fluctuation. You're trying to get in and out on a quick move intraday. So it's basically just a preset. I would use it if I were you. I use it. You put it to scalping for intraday and swing trading for if you're on an hourly or something higher than that.
And basically what it means, it will, whenever scalping or swing trading is used, it will ignore whatever is written down here in these two groups of parameters, and will use its own start, end, and increment values. Yeah,
exactly.
Perfect. All right. And Syria wants to know, can you set up auto trading in TradingView? And I know right now it's not possible to have any kind of EAs running within TradingView. There are some workarounds with webhooks, which needs to be tediously set up. It's not very straightforward in that sense. We may have a tech talk in the next year, in 2026, on that topic, how this can work. But just using TradingView, it is not possible to have automated strategies. Okay, perfect. So, now let's move on. We have two more things to cover, and then we're almost at the end. Perfect. What are these two additional things? Next off is our liquidity view dashboard. You can already hear it by the name. Oh, it's not an indicator. What's going on? Aren't you trading indicators? Yes, we are, but we also do other things, such as our trade scanning dashboard called Liquidity View. How does this one work? Well, it looks like this. You can see it here on the right-hand side, and it allows you to scan through thousands of tickers or symbols to find the ones which currently has a setup of interest. What the setup may be can be completely customized by you based on what you're looking for, based on what your preference is, based on what your trading style is. There are so many different variations that you can play around with to find the symbols out of a sea of symbols, like thousands of symbols, to find the ones which we would consider the diamonds in the rough, the needle in the haystack, the ones that qualify for a particular setup that you have in mind. So without further ado, let me show you how it works. You may know it already, but let me quickly go to our dashboard here. It looks like this. You can see it here on the right-hand side. We do have a price chart. And if you look closely, yes, our liquidity IQ indicator and our trend radar indicator and our MA rush indicator, they're all part of this dashboard. So they come with the subscription to be used within that dashboard. You can use it out apart from it, but with your subscription, you will get these indicators to be used within the dashboard. All right. So, for example, what we do every single weekend, you can do this every day when the market closes, but we have a session, a webinar scheduled every single Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And yes, the next one is tomorrow at 12 p.m., where we are using this dashboard to find interesting swing trading setups. And for example, the ones we found last week, let me just show you what these were. I'm going to my watch list here. These are the setups for last week. And for example, this one here, AGX, Argon Inc. If you guys read our newsletter, you may know this was our trade of the week in our newsletter. And guess how we found it? Using our dashboard. Why? Well, because price came down all the way to this former resistance level, which is now acting as support. We also had a little gap here, which was screaming to get filled. And we said, okay, this is an interesting long trade. And look what happened. Price beautifully moved upwards. Some other trades here for the Germans among us. Münchner Rückversicherung. We also called it out as an interesting bounce trade. This was right here. A nice liquidity capture on that Friday. Price came down to support with the liquidity capture event. And we said, hey, potentially a nice long setup. What a nice move afterwards. So oftentimes these can be very interesting setups. And the beautiful thing about this dashboard is that it is currently scanning through 5,875 symbols based on whatever criteria you have in mind. For example, maybe let's find a symbol which currently pulled back to support. So I'm going to go, okay, let's find the ones that pulled back towards a support level. We call it the long bounce setup. A symbol which is also currently in a bullish trend. So we're down to 168 symbols, and perhaps a symbol which currently has a liquidity capture on the last bar, as per our liquidity IQ indicator. Now we're down to 29, and the first one that comes up here, let's have a look, is Ameriprise Financial. Let's check it out. That's what I wouldn't trade, just coming up to support from the downside. Let's look at another one just real quick. Let me just find you one. This was not rehearsed. Oh, Costco. Let's check out Costco. Yeah, look at this. What's happening to Costco? Well, coming down to a key support level, Costco is a very bullish symbol. It's just been retracing a little bit as of late, which are great opportunities because I believe Costco is consolidating in a sideways channel. Now we are at the lower end of the sideways channel, right at a key support level. Which trade could we take here? Potentially a long trade. Yeah, anticipating okay, Costco will bounce off this support level towards higher price levels. You also can create your own watch lists in the dashboard. You can create trade notes in the dashboard. You can get trade alerts. You have different languages and so forth and so forth. So it's a very powerful dashboard allowing you to find what you're looking for when it comes to swing trading with just a few mouse clicks. All right. And then we have one more tool which we would like to show you, which brings us back all the way full circle. Remember where we started off from? with our journey of trading indicators, it was custom EA programming for MT4, custom trading bots for MetaTrader 4. This is how I started off my trading journey and trading indicators. And lately, or a few years ago, we have developed a graphical strategy builder for the Wave platform, which allows you to click together. You can see here, using a graphical interface, whatever trading strategy you have in mind. How this works, will Nicholas show us real quick with a 5-minute demo. Nicholas, are you there to give us a quick overview of how the strategy builder will work on
Yeah,
Wave?
100%.
Cool,
Ready
let's
to
do
go.
it. All right.
Okay, so let me share my screen.
Yeah, let me just enable it. Go for it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so the strategy builder for Wave that we've created, just clear up my screen a little bit here, the Zoom
Yeah.
windows, is basically a clickable strategy builder. What I mean by that is you don't need to know how to code or anything. It looks like this right here, this window. It's something you open up in Wave, and you're able to basically define trading logic based on whatever you want. So if you're using our indicators, our signal indicators, market sentiment indicators, so on and so forth, any of the ones we've spoken about today, all of them show things on the chart, right? So on this chart right here, let me just close this window. I have two indicators applied. I've got liquidity. Whoa, 1 second. I'm not used to Wave 7 too much. Let me zoom back in here. Okay, I've got two indicators on the chart here, liquidity IQ and MA rush. So we can see MA rush here, the bullish and bearish labels, and liquidity IQ with the support and resistance levels. So all of our indicators put this type of information on the chart, and what the strategy builder allows you to do, and not just around our indicators, right? Of course, Wave has maybe like 500 or a couple hundred built-in indicators, is it allows you to build an automated strategy that you can backtest and also trade and use for automated real-time trading based on whatever sort of conditions you see fit. For example, I've created a strategy here based on liquidity IQ and MA rush. And you can see actually it took a trade here, and I'll run that in replay in a second. So what I did is I noticed, and this is kind of the pattern you would, or the process, is Daniel and I really like a setup called long and short bounces, and we use MA rush and liquidity IQ together. So for a long bounce, what we'll do is we'll say, okay, is MA rush bullish? I'm on the 15-minute chart. I could see, okay, it's bullish. Then if we drop down to one of these red lines, a support level, well, if there's a liquidity capture, so price drops down like right, where was the liquidity capture? Right here, we could say, see liquidity capture. One happened here, it dropped down to this little red support line while MA rush was bullish. Well, if that happens, let's go long. Let's buy a contract. And if MA rush is, 1 second, if MA rush is bearish and we get a liquidity capture, so if we have bearish momentum, we come up to a resistance and we get a liquidity capture, like right here. This is a liquidity capture. It's kind of hard to see on Wave, but there was one right there. Then we'll go short because we're bearish. We came up to resistance, a lot of volume. The level had trouble breaking. We're probably, going to bounce downwards. We can see that's exactly what happened here. And then when we're bullish, we drop down to support. We want to bounce upwards. So let's say you have an idea like that. Well, the strategy builder makes it easy to define that. So you can create your own little logic plans here, which allow you to take what we call our actions. These are called trading plans to enter or exit a trade. So and a lot more. I'm covering it very surface level here. But for my long bounce trading plan here, I called it long bounce. I said for my plot conditions, I click on that. I can have up to 15 different unique conditions for every single plan, up to 10 different plans, and we'll see we also have targets and stops. But I enabled two conditions here. So I basically said, if we have a support liquidity capture, sup lick capture, short term here, if we have one of those, the value is greater than 0. That means there was a signal, and the sentiment from MA rush is greater than 0, which means it's bullish. Then I want this plan to take an action. So if those things happen, and they happen when the bar closes, there's a lot of different things you can do here. You can say on bar open, on bar update. Then I want to take an action. What do I want to do? Well, I said I want to take a long entry. You could take a long or a short entry. I say if I want to take a long entry, default trade lots. I can also set, there's so many different options. It's really a versatile piece of software. You can do risk-based sizing, so a certain amount of dollar risk based on your stop loss so that it dynamically sizes your position based on where your stop is. Maybe you only want to risk $500 a trade. sometimes if your top stop is tighter, $500 risk on a trade could be 10 contracts. If your stop is wider, maybe it's only 2 contracts. So you can do all these dynamic things. I just said a specific default trade lots, which is one trade lot here, but I could say, hey, put me in for 2 contracts, specific quantity, and I want my order type to be at market. We could also have a limit order. Or we could just keep it market, which is what I'm going to do here. So I want it to go for 2 contracts if we get that support liquidity capture while MA Rush is bullish. And then I did similar thing here, just when the sentiment's bearish and we have a resistance liquidity capture, I want to go short and I'll keep it at 1 contract, right? NQ tends to go up. Maybe I want to go in for less than I want to go when I'm long, when I'm going short. And then you have your targets and stops. So you can create all of these different dynamic targets and stops. You can see we have this little nice, very easy to click. It's a very easy user interface. You don't need to know any coding. It's easy to get familiar with. I don't have any targets in this strategy. I was just trying to keep it simple while we were doing the webinar. But down here, I created some stop losses. So what I do for a stop is I came in here and I said, well, for that, let's say that long bounce trade, when I go long, I want to have a trailing stop loss so I can take profits and protect myself. So I created a stop. I said associated entry plan. See, it takes the names of what we've created back in the trading plan section. I said, okay, for my long bounce trade on NQ, I want to have a 250 tick stop loss. I want the order size to be the remaining position of that plan. So whatever my long bounce trading plan entered for, I want to close that out. I want it to be a stop order. I want it to trail, and I want the distance to be in 250 ticks, the trailing distance. And I did the same thing for my short bounce trade. And, we have here on MA Rush, there's these 3 lines, right? And every, like Super Trend Bullseye, we have tons of videos covering how to automate our strategies, our indicators, and we actually have like template strategies that you can grab to show you how to get it working. But we can also reference a plot for our stop loss. So back here in our stop right there, let me find it. I could have said, I want this to be plot based. And then I could have selected one of the MA Rush lines. Let me just widen this out a little bit so we can see. I've got very low resolution on my screen. I could have said, I want my stop loss to actually be one of the MA Rush moving averages. And your stop loss will dynamically adjust in real time and automate to follow it. So very useful. And let me put this back to ticks, 250 ticks. Great. So once you've done this, you can run this strategy in real time. Of course, you want to back test it first to make sure it's working properly and maybe see how it performs. Let me just hop back into replay mode here. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to remove the strategy builder and I'll just show you. You can save and load your strategy. So I had actually just saved that. I called the strategy bounces. And then you can come back in here and click load. Browse to your strategy, bounces. Click load. And I just check in my little log here. Everything loaded fine. So now I can click activate. You can have tons of strategies, right? You can have 100,000 strategies on your computer and it'll remember them all so long as you still have the indicators on the chart you use to trade it. So let me just wait for the indicators to calculate here. This is Motive Wave 7. Let me just make sure it's up to date. And we do suggest, guys, if you have Motive Wave, stay on Motive Wave 6 because Motive Wave is still fixing and working out a lot of the little nuances of Motive Wave 7. So let me just come in here. I can tell already that I'm seeing a Motive Wave 7 bug. Let me remove the indicators and put them back on. Bear with me for a sec, guys. And Daniel, do we have any questions in the meantime?
Yeah, let me see if there are any questions. Linda says the session has been so helpful. Thank you. How will I receive a link to the replay? Linda, we're going to send it out shortly. So what we're going to do right after is we will render the video. This will take a couple of hours. Then we're going to upload it to our YouTube channel, and a link will be sent to all of you. And this goes for all registrants. You will receive the recording.
Perfect. And you can see here, Daniel, guys, this is why we say stay on Motive Wave 6. Like, look at this. This just happened out of nowhere, but the screen.
But it doesn't matter, Nicholas.
Let me hop out. I wanted to show the strategy because the trades were really good and profitable, and it worked well. But basically, I think you guys get the gist of it. I'm going to try one more time hopping into replay mode here. Loads. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're good to go. So I'll load the strategy real quick.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what Motivate did with their version 7, but yeah, it's been a challenge for us to get our indicators working for it. And you can see there's still some.
Well, it's not our indicators. Our indicators work fine, but a lot of our users too have said like they're running into bugs and
Yeah.
Like I noticed I have a 4K screen and I have to go into 1080p resolution for it to be fast. Like the visuals are not working as well. Like there's a lot of lag. So yeah, we do
Yeah.
suggest staying on Motive Wave 6, at least for the strategy builder, for sure.
All right. Speed it up a little bit.
It's also Motive Wave 7 being slow. But anyways, so what'll happen is if we're bullish, which we are right now, MA Rush is bullish. If price drops down to a support zone and we get a liquidity capture, it's going to enter in with a long trade. And you can watch in the study log, it'll tell you everything that's happened, right? So an order owned by plan one is filled, market entry order. So you can look back and see what did my strategy do? And you can also look at, Daniel, we had in the slides, I actually have the slides right here. Let me find the strategy builder. You can see here, and we'll look at that if we do have time. Maybe not today, but we've done it in many other videos. Is once you've run your strategy in this replay mode, you can then go look at what's called a trade report. You can see your equity
Yeah.
curve, your profit factor, all of the different statistics you would normally see in a regular backtest.
Perfect. Yeah,
Do we
Nicholas,
have
I
any
think
questions, Daniel? While I let it run, I'm just gonna, it might
yeah,
be a
let it run, and maybe late at the end, when we answer some questions, we can look at the results. How's that? Oh, there we go.
sure.
We got a trade. Okay.
We got one trade. So what happened here? It entered in, and we hit our 250 tick stop loss, but the game isn't over
I
yet.
thought
So
you
it went.
said it's a profitable strategy.
Oh, it will be very soon. But this is why we got a tight stop. So NQ, it exited out one contract. And of course, I let this run a little bit before and I was really pleased with the results. But it's slow on Motive Wave 7. On Motive Wave 6, guys, this runs like lightning fast. We would have been, 100 times further into the future if we were on Motive Wave 6. But here, I think another trade's coming up. Resistance and support are close. MA Rush is bullish. Boom. We get a trade here. It placed our stop loss, and it's going to trail that as we move up, as you'll see. So there's our stop. Look, we moved up. It trailed at 250 ticks, and we got taken out for profit. And if we ever hit support again with liquidity capture, it'll go long again, and the same for the inverse for shorts at a resistance.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks, Nicholas. Awesome. Yeah. It may seem a bit messy on the chart, but I promise you, clicking together your strategy with Model is actually very simple, and no programming skills are required. All right. So, Nicholas, I'm going to take over the screen again. Give me just 1 second. And now it's time. Oops. Just find my proper slides. Now it's time to talk about. But what? First off, a quick reminder before we get to your questions, a quick reminder that if you're wondering what this question mark is all about, well, it's very easy to find out. Simply join us next Thursday for our last Tech Talk of the year for 2025. Of course, we have big plans for 2026. Simply go to tradingindicators.com/tech to register completely free for this Tech Talk. Something I am personally very excited about because I've been following this approach over the last couple of days, and it looks promising to say the least. All right, so now it's time for your questions, the Q&A section. So what questions do we see? All right, then we're going to get to the symbol requests too. Theodore wants to know that, or his question pertains specifically to TradingView and MetaStock compatibility. So Theodore, for TradingView, everything is as you saw it in this presentation. So all the indicators work exactly as we showcased them today. For MetaStock, we currently support, let me quickly think, we support 1 to 3 strike, divergence cloud, and volatility crusher. We also support super signals, and we support trend radar and super trend bullseye. These are the 5 indicators or 6 indicators that we currently support for MetaStock. All right. All right. So Linda says it was helpful. Thank you, Linda. Okay, now let's look at some symbol requests. Okay. All right.
Yep, Daniel. Okay, do you want me to take it away with the symbol requests?
Yeah, maybe help me walk me through the
Perfect.
symbols that were requested. Exactly.
Great.
Perfect.
Okay, so let me just scroll all the way back up here, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Nope. So the first one's going to be micro gold. After the
Okay.
pullback, what do you think? Is it a good time to buy? I don't really think, I don't know what time frame you're on, Gerd, but there hasn't really been a pullback.
Yeah, gold actually pulled back much less than silver. Silver had a substantial pullback at 4% lower. You can see it here. This is on the daily time frame. Yeah, much bigger. Let me just go to the smaller time frame here. So silver, we had this big move down. Gold, on the other hand, also had some sort of move down, but not as much. We go to MGC here, micro gold. Like it was moving down, but in the bigger scheme of things, are much more shallow than silver. So if you're asking Garrett from, just quickly hide something here real quick. If you're asking whether, just give me 1 second, put Mentor mode off to keep this clean. If you're asking if now would be an interesting opportunity to go long micro gold from a day trading point of view, well, let's see. I personally would be a bit hesitant for a couple of reasons. Here we are on the 5 minute time frame. But well, you know what? The only thing that I don't really like about this one here for a long trade is that we have bearish sentiment. You can see here Mirage is showing us a bearish signal, meaning this may not be the end of this pullback. And I could imagine potentially price will come down all the way at the minimum to the zone of control zone here, this big volume node of volume IQ around 4,300. It's also a big psychological number. So I, could imagine this may happen. If this happens, maybe at that point, it could be an interesting, if there's still something left in today's trading day to go long. But, as we head into Friday, I probably would just wait until the market opens on Monday to see where we at with gold. So that going over the weekend into such a volatile day, I probably would skip that. So I'm probably going to go all flat. Certainly I will go all flat for all my day trades before the market closes today. Anything
Daniel, okay, the next
else?
one
Yeah.
is going to be RCAT, RCAT.
Okay. Red Cat Holdings. Okay, let's look at this from a swing trading point of view. Just 1 second. Just a quick configuration change once again as we swap between day trading and swing trading. Oh, what do we see? Interesting one. Okay, so this is the daily time frame on this stock. And we can see that price has bullish momentum, but it's kind of now stuck in this high volume node. What could this mean? First off, I would not be surprised if price, in quotes, hangs out in this area for quite some time. Oftentimes, these high volume nodes act as decelerators, meaning price will slow down in these areas, may get stuck here for a while until moving out of it. So this is my first prediction. Secondly, we are coming from the downside into this high volume node. There is a chance that this may act as resistance and we may see a bit of a bounce to the downside, maybe to this price level here. So I'll be careful with a long trade since we are coming up into this high volume node from the downside. So I'll be a bit careful with this. I don't see any key resistance or support levels nearby. The nearest one is down here at 4.6 and resistance all the way up here at 15. So they are not in play right now. But this high volume node, I at least would be a bit careful with this symbol.
Perfect. Okay, the next one coming up is, can you show MNQ on the 15-minute chart? How these last three applications show what's going on. I guess he's saying 3 indicators we have on the chart right now from Gary. What's going on is price seems to have gone above a prior red zone on the 15-minute chart. 15.
I believe Gary is referring to, I believe, 1 to 3 strike. I think that's when the questions was asked. That's my guess. And Gary,
it's
if you're
on the
wrong,
15-minute chart, Daniel, just to remind you.
Yeah, okay, let's just do this real
quick.
You're
probably right, the power bundle.
Let's have a look here at our charts here. So what do we see here? So, okay, so this is the 50-minute chart. This is our trend indicator. And we can see that we did have a couple of whipsawing going on here. We this buy signal, then a sell signal where we get out of it, basically at a flat price, buy, sell. And finally, we had an interesting sell signal here, which caught this downwards move quite nicely. We have 2 exits already triggered. We're still in this trade. You can see the trading stop. Oh no, wait. 1 second. I forgot one thing. Didn't I just change my partial exits? I changed the defaults. Let me just quickly change this back to what it was. Yeah, actually here, to tell you the truth, Gary, I probably would not use 1 to 3 strike right now on this symbol. You know why? I didn't even pay attention to this. Look at the win rates right now on this particular symbol. Only 0.66 to the long side and 0.7 profit factor to the short side. This is not a great win rate, meaning right now on this symbol and this particular time frame, the signals should not be trusted as much. So I would skip it. But you know what? This happens sometimes, but at least the indicator will tell you. So let's see, maybe a different indicator will do better on this one. Let's try divergence cloud. No, also not good. All right. Let's try volatility crusher. This particular one. Okay. Definitely better here to the short direction at 5.26 profit factor for volatility crusher to the short direction. So that one here, if we would have gotten the short signal, I definitely would have trusted it the most because here the profit factor is very good. That's a really good one. For the long direction, not so much. Here the signals didn't work out so well, but for the short direction, yes. But this happens sometimes, and this will change over time. And of course, another thing that you can do is to change time frames. So let's go to the a 5-minute time frame. You can see here we have an even better profit factor. And if you go, for example, to 1 to 3 strike on the 5-minute time frame, yeah, look, much better signals. And this happens sometimes. Sometimes the signals are just more honed in on one particular time frame or perhaps one particular symbol. But at least now you know by means of these statistics. So I hope this helps, David. Gary.
Thanks, Daniel. And the next symbol is going to be CMG.
All right, so I'm going to go back one more time to our date. Yeah, CMG. Okay, so here I'm going to use our swing trading view. Oh, a couple of nice gaps. I'm going to put a gap IQ also on this one in a second. Let's just have a look. Where are we right now? Yeah, Chipotle Mexican Grill is struggling a bit. We switched momentum. This was a very bullish stock prior to this. And let me just see. Do I have? Yeah. But now we swapped to bearish and we lost support. You can see it here. Price broke the support level. We broke it. We had some follow through. Then we came back up. This is a very classic pattern of ours. We call it the zone break retrace pattern, where we come back up to the broken support level, which at this point is acting as resistance. And then we had another move further down. Now we're recovering a little bit, but I personally would not go long the stock right now, despite the fact that we had a couple of down gaps here. And even if gap IQ will tell us the win rate is really high for these gap fills. Let me just have a look. But down gaps, yeah, these are the only unfilled gaps. I possibly would not go along the signal right now, even though we have these two gaps to be filled, just because it looks a little bit too bearish to me. We have the momentum switching to bearish, and we just lost the support level.
Thanks, Daniel.
SMH. Okay.
Yeah,
SMH.
Daniel, do you notice the indicators work well on Forex from Scott?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, absolutely. We have in fact, on my latest mission, I should say, to Melbourne, Australia, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking at this algo trading conference, and what we did there is we automated using a platform called TradeView, not to be confused if TradingView is a different platform. So TradeView, it's a Australian platform. We automated some of our liquidity IQ and ME-Rush setups and for Forex, and they worked just as fine. So that was very promising. Okay, so SMH, what do we see here? Well, look where we are. We're bouncing just off this resistance level with a bunch of liquidity captures. So I believe this would be a short-lived bounce. Nonetheless, I probably would wait a little bit more. I can feel that it might come down a little bit further down, and then I would look for long entries here. But we're still a bit too close for comfort to this resistance level. So I personally would wait for a deeper pullback and then potentially look for longs. And let me just quickly put on Trend Radar just for the fun of it. All right, Trend Radar, where do we have it? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put it on just to see what we have. Yeah, look, it's only level 2 pullback as per Trend Radar. I would wait for level 3, maybe even level 4, something like this, and then look for long positions in this symbol. But yeah, it looks very bullish overall. But entering right now near resistance, maybe not my cup of tea. All right, SNDK is requested. I'm just going to do a few symbols. I can't go through all of them.
Theodore says, "You're very intelligent fellow, Daniel. Best of luck to Deutschland in the World Cup here in Toronto."
Yes, yes. I'm very excited about this. I just wish that the tickets would be so expensive. So if you guys have any tips on how to get World Cup tickets, especially for the Germany or Brazil games, uh, I'd be very much interested because I do want to see some, but right now ticket prices are just yeah, unbelievably expensive on Ticketmaster and StubHub. So I think I'm gonna wait. They might drop, and if they do, I'm gonna definitely gonna be visiting some games. Okay. And I know that Germany, by the way, sorry for the detour, I digressed a little bit. Germany is playing against, I believe, Ivory Coast, the current Africa champions, in Toronto during the World Cup. So that could be an easy trip potentially. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. Yeah, Sendis Corporation. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to see. It's a new company. There's not that much historical data available for technical analysis. So it definitely looks bullish. So we have a level 3 pullback as per trend radar. Potentially, yeah, this we could enter on this pullback. Just keep in mind that there is a resistance level right at the historical high at 285. All right, CRS. And let's just do a couple of quick fires here. Carpenter Technology Group, what do we see here? All right, let's let the indicators load real quick. Come on. There we go. Okay, yeah, interesting one. So here we have something what we call the zone break retrace setup. We broke above resistance. You can see this line here that was resistance. We broke above it. Initially we go up, then we retraced back to the broken resistance level, now acting as support. And these could have been interesting moments to enter long. Now we're a bit higher, but nonetheless, yeah, I like it for long. That's I believe that might be another leg further upwards. All right, Uber, real quick. Just quickly, what do we see here? Um, yeah, what do we see here? Let me just zoom out a little bit more. It's a little bit all over the place, and I wonder, did I configure Liquidity IQ properly? Yeah. Here, let me look at this at the on the dashboard, just to keep it a bit simpler. So Uber, there we have it. Let's just quickly see what do we see here. Yeah. Ah, I don't like the fact here that we are kind of broke below this cluster of resistance and support. You can see this greenish area and this reddish area. Price came below. We're still in the vicinity, but it's not a clean setup for sure for a long bounce. So even though it's a bullish symbol, I probably would wait until we have some more clarity here with Uber. Oh, thanks, Theodore. Yeah, please maybe you can find a good ticket for me. I'll definitely take two for the Germany game only. Okay. Ulla, ServiceNow. Okay. Let's have a look. ServiceNow. What's going on there? Okay, so here, let me just quickly have a look. We are bullish since for 633 trading days. Currently also above support here. And yeah, this looks interesting. By the way, guys, I'm gonna put this link. Oh, Niklas, can you please put the link into the chat? Tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time, we have a dedicated scanning session for all these symbols. So I'm only gonna do it maybe one more right now because we've already in this webinar for 2 hours and I'm getting exhausted, frankly. No, I'm kidding. But tomorrow we have much more time to go through some sample symbols. So but yeah, I kind of like it here for a long trade, anticipating a bounce off this support level. And Niklas, the link for tomorrow is tradingindicators.com/scan. Maybe put this into the chat as well. Okay. Is there a way that an indicator automatically tells us the best time frame for a symbol? No, right now that's not possible. And Jose, probably this will be a feature which we cannot implement on TradingView because there are some complexity restrictions on TradingView, which would prevent the indicator to do this kind of analysis, flipping through all the different time frames. So this will remain somewhat of a manual activity. But at least now you can see it in your statistics. Imagine before we had those, you actually had to like figure out the win rate and the profit factor, at least guesstimate it manually. At least now you see it right away in this table. All right. Are there any other questions? There's a MotiveWave question. Does MotiveWave allow building and testing option strategies? No, they don't. Actually, that was something we were asked quite a few times back in the day whether an automated strategy in Motive Wave could tap into the options chain and options pricing and so forth. That's unfortunately not the case. All right, perfect. Well, guys, I think this brings us to the end of the session. Now, if there was a question, of course, which was left out, you can always reach out to us via our homepage, tradingindicators.com. And this is our old homepage. We are in the process of redesigning it, but right now we only have the old one. Nonetheless, it works. Go to tradingindicators.com, click on support in the main menu, click on contact afterwards and put your question into the contact form. Once you submit it, it will come straight to my inbox and I will answer every question personally. I know I've been a bit slower lately of answering these questions because there was a lot of things going on this week, among other things with our tax return due, which was so cumbersome to prepare for. This is finished now, and I promise you from now on, questions will be answered as at their usual speed that you come to know from us. So please don't be shy. Reach out to us with any questions. If you're interested in an indicator and don't know which one to pick, or maybe you want to buy all of them for a special price, I'd be happy to figure something out for you. All right, guys, with this, have a great weekend. It's Friday already. I trade safe and maybe see you guys tomorrow at our power scanning session. Let me just quickly see if that link is in the chat. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So the link for the power scanning session is in the chat tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And for all the German listeners in this webinar at 10 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time, which is 4 p.m. Germany time, I will be on with our good friends from CapTrader. Also scanning for interesting market opportunities, and in this case in German. So if you guys are interested in this, join me at my CapTrader session. With this, have a great weekend and talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks, Nicholas. Bye.